whatever. This is the position, Enyangotao, sí, Enyangotao right now, okay. Anyway, alright, we're here at Calle Serra in San Juan with, what's your name?
Amila.
A lovely young lady, Amila, and the question is, if your boyfriend, his ex-girlfriend dies, tragically or otherwise, how long do you give him to grieve?
0.5 seconds.
Repeat again?
0.5 seconds.
You better get the fuck over it, pretty much.
I'm sorry?
You better get the fuck over it, in other words.
Indeed.
All right, there you go.
¿Cuál es el nombre suyo?
Harry Calderón.
Pero él lleva el micrófono.
Explícame lo que está pasando aquí con la política. ¿Qué sucedió últimamente en las elecciones?
Pues mira, aquí en Puerto Rico llevamos tiempo tratando de sacar a las personas que nos han llevado a donde estamos hoy día y lamentablemente no hemos podido hasta el momento. Hubo muchas personas que se alzaron para estas elecciones, ¿verdad? Al contrario de elecciones anteriores o cuatrienios anteriores. Hicimos todo lo posible, salimos a votar. Entendemos que se robaron los votos de cierta manera. Conozco personas cercanas que estuvieron en los colegios y vieron cosas que no se deben, cosas que ellos mismos denunciaron. Nadie le ha hecho caso a esas denuncias y lamentablemente seguimos con el mismo problema. Las personas que nos han traído a donde estamos siguen en el poder y queremos hacer lo posible por sacarlos de donde están.
Y explícame de la alianza, cómo se formó, qué significa el movimiento de alianza.
Pues la alianza básicamente es el partido Movimiento Victoria Ciudadana y el partido de independentistas, que en el cuatrienio anterior pues alcanzaron una cantidad de votos en común que superaba quizás al Partido Popular, y entonces pues decidieron para este cuatrienio unirse y entonces que todo el pueblo votara por un gobernador del partido independentista y por ciertos alcaldes o legisladores por el partido de Victoria Ciudadana, para entonces nosotros lograr lo que era una victoria para el pueblo.
Entonces como un gobierno de coalición, básicamente.
Sí, es una formación de dos partidos que tienen un fin común, que es básicamente sacar este bipartidismo, que son los populares y los PNP, pero saben que independientemente no lo pueden hacer.
Sí.
Entonces se forma la alianza precisamente con ese propósito.
¿Y cuál es su nombre?
Sharif Cruz.
Muy bien. Entonces, en términos del independentismo, ¿crees que se ha muerto el movimiento o crees que todavía tiene validez?
Para mí nosotros ganamos en estas elecciones.
Sí.
Lo que pasa es que no ganamos literalmente, pero jamás en la vida ningún partido independentista había llegado al porcentaje que llegó en estas elecciones,
exacto.
Ni tampoco había acaparado las masas que cogió en estas elecciones. Para mí es un triunfo porque no cabe duda que desde las próximas elecciones vamos a ganar. Lo que pasa es que en estas elecciones hubieron un montón de fraudes electorales evidenciados, un montón de denuncias a la Comisión Estatal de Elecciones que no se han trabajado todavía, y hay un montón de cosas que se han reportado, y lo que pasa es que el Partido Nuevo Progresista básicamente tiene comprado toda la Comisión Estatal de Elecciones y no hay manera de perder ese tipo de procesos.
Si uno quería registrarse para votar,
eso fue
hubieron
muchas movidas estratégicas por parte del PNP para que se cometieran fraudes, pero básicamente si tú tienes un partido que tú llevas varios años en el poder, que logras controlar el Senado, que logras controlar los proyectos de ley, tú vas a seguir configurando esas leyes a tu favor, y si se acercan las elecciones pues con más razón. Entonces pues la parte del registro fue una de las cosas que ellos modificaron y adelantaron la fecha. Mucha gente se quedó sin inscribirse, el sistema se cayó. ¿Sabes? Hubieron muchas trampas y muchas cosas que ellos pudieron manipular a su favor antes de las elecciones y durante las elecciones también.
Y sin contar ¿verdad? Lo que fue la plataforma que que creó el gobierno básicamente para que las personas que aún no se habían inscrito lo pudieran hacer, ¿verdad? Y las personas que quisieran votar o utilizar lo que es el voto adelantado, la plataforma costó, entiendo que más de $1 millón, o el website costó más de $1 millón y aún así colapsó. No entendemos el cómo y el por qué. Eso solamente lo entenderán los que se están robando el dinero del pueblo. Así que yo creo que...
Entonces la corrupción básicamente sigue.
Sí, sí,
la corrupción sigue
en forma del PNP.
La corrupción sigue a la base del PNP.
Es el PNP.
100%.
100%. No hay, o sea, no hay diferencia entre corrupción y Partido Nuevo Progresista, ¿sabes?
Sí.
Es la corrupción.
Y entonces, en términos de la juventud, ¿usted cree que hubo levantamiento entre la juventud en estas elecciones más que antes? O...
Sí, muchísimo más que antes.
Sí.
Yo, por ejemplo, soy joven y sé que hay un movimiento joven bien grande y sé que es el público en el cual el Partido Nuevo Progresista en el Partido PIP y la Alianza quiso llegar. Llegó a las universidades, llegó a las personas que se inscribieron por primera vez, llegó a un público que quiere un cambio. Yo pienso que lo que pasó en estas elecciones es histórico. Las personas jóvenes pues quieren ese nuevo progreso, pero realmente no somos la mayoría. La mayoría en este país pues son personas mayores, es un público
Sí.
que más lleva aquí. Las personas jóvenes se han tenido que ir del país por la misma corrupción.
Explícame por qué.
Somos colonia. O sea, hay algún
Hace 500
tipo,
años,
hace más de 400 años somos una
Somos
colonia.
yo creo que la única colonia en el mundo que llevamos más de 500 años todavía siendo colonia, y lamentablemente todas las aportaciones que vienen de parte de Estados Unidos, que realmente salen de lo que nosotros le aportamos a ellos, hacen que muchas personas en Puerto Rico ¿verdad? No quieran salir de ese estatus porque entienden que los fondos que nos aportan Estados Unidos nosotros solos no los podemos generar cuando realmente no es la realidad. Así que se mantienen votando por los partidos que alegan que van a mantener esa relación entre Estados Unidos y Puerto Rico. Y la verdad es que Estados Unidos, a partir de estas elecciones, le dieron una bofetada en la cara a lo que es el partido PNP, dejando saber que la estabilidad no va a venir, lo cual todo el mundo ya lo sabía, pero ahora simplemente Estados Unidos lo acaba de reafirmar.
Con la Junta de Promesa.
La Junta de Control Fiscal.
Sí.
Sí, a mí tiene mucho que ver también con lo que tocas del colonialismo. Hay una deuda a raíz de la corrupción, a raíz de estos dos partidos que vienen yendo, y como consecuencia de esa deuda se trae una Junta de Control Fiscal que básicamente es una imposición del gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Es decir, yo vengo aquí a fiscalizar de que ustedes paguen lo que tienen exactamente, y hay recortes también, un montón de recortes y temas financieros que vienen en base a la corrupción.
La austeridad, ¿verdad?
Exactamente. Entonces
Sí.
vienen con esta cortina de que van a fiscalizar y a controlar las finanzas cuando realmente
Nunca viene.
no,
No,
y
nunca
es
pasa.
un tema colonial, ¿sabes?
Ok.
Es un estatus colonial.
Explain what a caco is. I have no idea.
Being a taco, at least from my point of view, is that you have some good ass earrings that cost like, I don't know, 50
Earrings.
Boom. You got a chain that costs like 30 mil.
30 mil?
Boom. You got some pants that
He
cost
doesn't need
like,
the 10 million, by the way.
Oh yeah, they cost more. These cost like 50K.
Uh-huh.
Let me say it like that. These cost like 10K.
Okay, 10K for the
The shirt, well, you know,
the shirt, forget about it.
if you know gallery department, I don't got.
I know.
Oh my god.
It ain't cheap, let me tell you that much, it ain't cheap.
Not everybody is like that, you know.
Yeah, so he's caco, he's bullado, emperillado como un cangrimán, sí.
Exactly.
Te parece como un cangrimán, como bullado, yeah.
Exacto. But when you
Exacto.
actually know a guy, it's not always like that, you know.
Yeah.
I lived over there like 4 years.
In America.
I'm everything. I'm literally everything. I can listen to Spanish music, English music, rock music, everything.
Todas las cosas.
I'm a cool guy. Let me tell you that.
There you go. And he's smooth. Ladies, hit him up.
I am yo. Yeah, hit me up. That's for sure.
Plug the Instagram. Go ahead. I don't know. Why not? Amazing talking to Huertedro, Wilford,
Right.
Maxford. Well, I can't exactly remember the names, but he's Caco. He's Caco. Ahorita es Caco,
Hey.
no?
I can look caco, but I'm actually a nice person. Trust me.
He's a nice
Trust me.
person.
You gotta know me.
Parece como un cangriman, pero no es un, he's not, he
Hey.
doesn't act like one.
That's a good one. I'm a cangri, but I'm a good one. Trust me, I'm a good one.
Cangri. The real cangri is mine, not a lot of good ones. All right, from Puerto Rico, signing off. All right, here we are once again, another installment of the Vida Latina Upstate podcast with your co-host slash producer slash everything else, Dan Irizarry, with his wonderful father and host.
Dan Irizarry. Shout out to everybody listening, watching. We just came back from Puerto Rico. We were at the Somos conference, which was Somos Puerto Rico.
I got the lanyard to show.
We have the proof. It was an exciting trip. The weather did not cooperate as much as we would have liked. Really, the best day was when we were leaving on Saturday, but we did manage to get the whole experience in at Somos at El Caribe Hotel.
Except for the food. I didn't eat any of the food.
Yeah,
I heard the food's good, though.
Yeah. It was
That's
just
the Caribe Hotel.
so many people, but it was exciting. There were
the people there, no?
everybody who's anybody, quote unquote, was there. All the heavy duty politicians, Speaker Hasty,
Power brokers.
Nidia Velasquez, all of the Assembly and Senate Latinos. And I think Somos next year is not going to be in Puerto Rico. I believe it's going to be in the Dominican Republic.
That's interesting.
Which is kind of a nod to the growing political power of the Dominican community.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So it started out as a Puerto Rican thing, really.
No, it was always Puerto Rican Hispanic Legislative Task Force was the original full name of it. Somos Uno.
Somos Uno.
Then it became Somos El Futuro.
Okay.
And then they truncated it and became Somos.
Somos Puerto Rico, Somos Albany,
so
right?
Somos is Puerto Rico is one edition of it, and then you have the New York edition, which is typically in March. Yeah. So the original thought was there should be a convocation of Latinos that would show their political power. And in the beginning, there wasn't as much representation. You have to understand, in the 70s and 80s, there were the occasional Puerto Rican that got elected.
Bronx.
Now it's a whole different. The complexion of the task force has changed dramatically.
And demographics have changed in general.
Right. So you have Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Colombians.
Venezuelans.
I don't know. I'm not sure. So that what I'm trying to get at is the fact that over the years it has changed from a predominantly Puerto Rican presence into, as you said, the changing demographics in New York State, where a lot of Latin American countries are now represented. Of course, the background is the elections in Puerto Rico, which we
the elections everywhere,
right? in the United States, and as you know, Puerto Rico is a commonwealth. It's a territory. It is not imbued by all the rights Puerto Ricans don't have on the island, all the rights that we have on the mainland. So we can't, on the island, you can't vote for president. On the mainland, as soon as you come in, you can automatically vote. Puerto Rico's elections were very interesting. For the first time, although the PNP won, Jennifer Gonzalez
they're the Republican
Again,
party
I
of
like
Puerto
to make this
Rico.
description. Puerto Rican's political spectrum is a circle. It's not right and left. It's a circle because the way that the parties are divided, this is for people that don't know, the way the parties are divided is not by ideology like right and left, which comes from the French Revolution, the people that believed in the kingdom and the people that believed in overthrowing the kingdom and having democracy. That's where right and left comes from, right? So there's not a right and left in Puerto Rico in that sense where there's two major parties that are conservative. Both parties incorporate aspects of conservative and liberal ideology, maybe more neoliberal capitalism in the PNP, even though it's conservative in name. In other words, what divides the parties is status, the question of status.
Right. And in this case, for I think the fourth time that a plebiscite has been held, 57 more. I think the largest number, 57% of the island voted for statehood.
Yeah, but a plebiscite is a referendum, more or less that you.
But it's
you
just
get
non-binding.
Non-binding,
Yeah.
and you get in Puerto Rico, and you can say whether or not you want statehood, status quo, or independence.
Right. And the really fascinating thing about this election was that for the first time, the Puerto Rican Independence Party formed an alliance. Right. Formed an alliance with left
Leftist, yeah.
party. And they came in second.
With 30-something percentage is a lot.
I think
30%
they
is a
out.
lot.
I think they outperformed. They definitely outperformed
The status quo party.
The status quo party.
The PDP or whatever.
Right. Juan del Mao was the candidate of the Alianza. And the alliance really kind of had a show of force.
Mm-hmm.
They had a rally, like I believe it was 65,000 people showed up,
I don't know.
which is bigger than any of the rallies that had taken place prior. And that was also due to the influence of Bad Bunny, who had come out, who, according to some reporting, has had like a political awakening and decided that, the whole idea of corruption that has really beset Puerto Rico for decades.
Yeah.
People are really frustrated because of Luma, because of the hurricane response. That there's still the effects of Maria have not even completely been.
Not to mention the effects of the Jones Act, which go back 100 years.
Well, that's a different story.
Kind, but you know what I mean. There's so many different problems at the same time. Corruption being one of them. The big corporations, the pharmaceutical industry.
Right. There's a whole.
The politicians.
Sure. The history is complicated. It is a history of neglect. But the main point about this election was that this alliance party did better than anybody thought. At the end of the day, Jennifer Gonzalez is going to be the governor of Puerto Rico.
There you go.
You have a new representative from the other party.
Which party?
PDP is going to have the resident non-voting representative. He's not they're not a congressman.
Yeah, well,
they sit in Congress, but they have absolutely no.
But let me add on to that. So the basic kind of idea that was translated or was communicated to the public in Puerto Rico and abroad really is that there's a growing sentiment for the independence movement. There's a growing youth movement for a lot of it is the youth movement that is going towards this. You could say leftist, but again, I don't agree with the spectrum.
No, it's not. Yeah, you're right.
It's independence. They want to be. There's a larger contingent that want to be independent, and there's always been a history during referendums. All the plebiscites have held of the independentistas sitting it out, saying this is never going to.
Or being a very low percentage of the vote.
Protest.
Extremely low percentage of the vote.
They would exactly. But I think it shows that there is a desire
for change
among a certain contingent for change in the direction of
independence. And that contingent is made up of a lot of young people.
Which we talked to. We'll show some interviews here.
Yeah, and so that was impressive. Being on the island, we got to speak with some fellows at La Serre.
Calle Serre.
Calle Serre.
In Vicina de Watusi.
Vicina de Watusi bar. That's what some Uber driver said. You got to go to Esquina Watusi. And I thought that was like
which means it's a
corner. Yeah, that's the name of the bar.
Yeah.
We went out there on Friday night.
Yeah.
It was so jam packed. I mean, there had to be
with a lot of
1,000 young people just walking the streets.
Tell the story about how they didn't like that I was wearing. So I came there in my Isaiah jacket, bright blue, red and blue tie.
That was a big no-no.
I felt like I was representing the Puerto Rican flag. That's why I dressed that way. because it was the colors of the Puerto Rican flag, red, white, blue. But because I was in this bright blue color, and apparently that's the PNP color, they said, "Listen, you're an American. You're coming around here, right?"
Yeah.
What they said.
Well, yeah.
It was an interesting.
Well, we were trying to get content, and I was playing
Interviewing
cameraman,
people, yeah.
right? And Daniel was interviewing people, and
You were, but yeah.
well, we ended up switching. Yeah.
Emanuel Vázquez.
Emanuel, ¿por qué tú crees que la mayoría de los latinos, o 40% en Estados Unidos, votaron por Donald Trump?
Varias razones, en mi opinión, ¿verdad? Muchos latinos, la cultura latina tiende a, por lo general, ser bastante machista, así que pues entiendo que por eso quizás al ir en contra de una mujer, pues apela un poquito más al voto masculino latino. De igual manera, hubo una campaña de miedo acerca del comunismo y pues esas otras cosas que de igual manera apela a pues, la cultura latina que ha sido, ¿verdad? Hasta ha tenido que lidiar con el comunismo. Por esas razones pienso que pues si fueron en base un poco más a Trump versus lo que Kamala ha tenido que ofrecer.
But the bottom line was that was a no-no. That the impression.
That's what we were told. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy
got some
said,
looks.
if you're gonna walk around with a camera with that color on,
Yeah.
that was actually Thursday. Then when you
That
went
was
out
Thursday, then we went out
Friday,
again, and I went out
you went out more
red and
casual, and then
blue,
we
right.
got some great content, and we had an interview that I did in Spanish with two young men and from Puerto Rico.
You had a great time interviewing those people, and then I did some street interviews, asking some kind of random questions, a couple of which we'll show. But and
The
I had a great
Herson,
time doing
the
those.
Herson interview.
But yeah,
though.
the big one was the Herson.
Herson.
Herson. Okay, the very
Pronounce.
English
He's
and
very.
sounding.
He doesn't like
I
people
know, but
messing up
Herson
his
is
name.
correct. Okay, Herson Cabrerras. See, Cabrerras.
Uh-huh.
I have his card. ASAP Tech, I believe it's called. This is his business. So he's a tech guy, but he's a very colorful character, and I did a great 10-minute interview, which we're going to show right now. Herson Cabrerras.
Cabrerras.
Cabrerras,
With an
okay.
S.
With an S. And he's in a position at Acacia, the Acacia
No,
network,
no,
right?
I'm an independent IT guy.
Independent IT guy, okay.
yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about Puerto Rican independence, the recent election in Puerto Rico, not the U.S. one. And so what do you think? You said that you liked what the paper did this time, the
Yeah,
Independence
I
Party?
I was always bothered by how the Independence Party here approached the whole notion of independence. It was always a war, kind of. And I said, why do you have to go to war with your own people?
Yeah,
That's like, really?
makes sense. Yeah.
So I couldn't understand that, and I always thought that they should build, create, success. Because when individual Puerto Ricans became successful and they're of like mind, okay, success.
Common goal.
Well, success breeds independence.
Yeah,
Look at Musk.
yeah.
Talk about independent. Boy, oh boy, is that guy.
Sending rockets up to space.
Well, he's independent. He
Yeah.
does whatever he
Do
wants.
whatever he wants. Yeah.
Because he has the resources and he feels free to do what he likes to do.
Yeah.
I believe that should also apply to any independence movement.
Okay.
Okay?
And so you think more in sort of the sense, the economic sense of harnessing kind of the natural resources of Puerto Rico, or
No,
building
the
a
brain
tech
trust.
sector,
The
or
brain
what
trust
would it look
of
like?
Puerto Rico.
Brain trust.
Okay, so let's look at who is successful, who are Puerto Ricans. You
A lot of
have
people.
amazing athletes.
Yeah.
Just amazing
Roberto
for years.
Clemente, sí.
Okay? Not only the boxers.
Yeah.
Look
Oh, yeah,
at
the
the
boxers, yeah.
amazing boxers, tennis players, okay? That's one sector. Then look at entertainment. The actors. Oh my goodness.
Bad Bunny,
All
Mark
of these
Anthony.
Puerto Rican actors who have won Academy Awards, from Rita Moreno
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, exactly, Jennifer Lopez, Ricky Martin. These are all success stories. And what does a success story bring? It brings recognition to the nation that we are worthy of creating good things.
It's like an Olympic medal or something.
Once we are worthy of creating good things, guess what happens? Other people will want to trade with us, will want to bargain with us
Business.
because they want some of that. That's what success brings. It brings independence, it brings freedom, and it brings creativity, and it brings people wanting to work with you. And that's what Puerto Rico needs.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico is the last colony on planet Earth.
In the world.
On planet Earth. And you know, I don't think we've come together enough to tell the world now our story.
Yeah.
Thank God we have the internet now.
Yeah. A lot of people internationally, they have no idea.
Oh no, they
Puerto
have no
Rico.
idea. I remember when I was in the military, I went to Vietnam in 1960.
Thank you for your service. Oh, listen.
In
Service is service.
1965.
Yeah.
Okay? And when I got there, I would talk Spanish. And the guys would look at me. He says, "You talk Spanish?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican." He says, "How did you get into the military?"
Because in
They had
1917, they made.
I swear, they had no clue that we were
Yeah.
American citizens.
Well, it's a lot of Americans don't know.
But what's even more, I thought even more crazy was that even Puerto Ricans don't know the price we pay to become American citizens.
Yeah.
We are unique. We are the most unique citizens in the United States.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Because we paid in blood for our citizenship.
In what sense?
But did we ask for citizenship?
No.
No. How did
They
we
forced
get
it upon
citizenship?
us in 1917
Why?
to get us into World War I.
Why? Because Wilson, the
Yeah.
president, decided to have this party
Yeah.
to get into World War I because Churchill came to the United States and imposed a 1849 contract that the United States
Oh, yeah.
had with England, okay, and said, after we set, you know, the English burned the White House down.
Yeah, 1812, yeah.
But after that, there
The
was
war
a
of 1812,
settlement,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the
Things
deal
lasted a while.
was that you protect me and I protect you.
The quid pro quo thing.
Again, and he laid that on Wilson. And Wilson violated the law. You know why he violated the law?
Why?
Because we had a law called the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah.
And those guys said, do not get involved with Europeans. They're all crazy. We just ran away from those guys. Those
Yeah.
guys will kill you.
Had a breakup with them.
And he went around it. He went around that, and he asked for 200,000 men. You know how many men showed up?
How many?
Maybe 20 to 40,000 Americans to fight in World War I.
Yeah,
So they
10%.
needed men because he was going to have egg on his face. And that's how we became
Yeah.
citizens.
There you go. Paying
Because-
for with
Yeah,
the
because
blood,
they
yeah.
drafted our guys.
Yeah, a lot of Puerto
Okay.
Ricans fought in every war.
And that's why we're unique.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why
Very
we're
interesting
unique.
perspective.
And for years, we've been subsidizing the American economy.
Big time.
Even though a lot of people think that, like, we get Social Security, we get this and that. First of all, we don't get full Social Security. I think we get like 45%, 55% of what normal people, citizens, get. So if you're in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So it's really down. Also, we give a lot of value because they called us an incorporated,
Unincorporated territory.
They don't say we're a colony.
Yeah, a lot of fancy
that's-
words for it except
well,
colony.
no, that because they don't want to have egg on their face.
Yeah.
That they still have the last
Because
colony.
they're supposed
on
to be
Earth.
this bastion of democracy,
There
the
you
light
go.
on the world.
So
all
they
that.
get a lot of credit. Also, at one time, we protected the eastern southern part of the United States
Yes.
from Puerto Rico. That's why they wanted Puerto
It's
Rico.
strategic, 'cause
Strategically, yes.
geostrategic reasons.
Now it doesn't matter because we have rockets and jets and,
Yeah, and
people
also-
fly over. So that doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah, and if
but the rules still apply to
yeah.
us.
And during the Cold War, it made sense because Cuba was a huge
one of the
ally
ways, one of the biggest,
that made sense back then.
One of the biggest ways economically that really drain us is this law that they have that we have to use American merchant
Jones
sheets.
Act.
The Jones Act. That makes our products that come out of Puerto Rico 20% more expensive to import and export. We can't compete. We can't compete. We just can't because of that. I would love to lift the Jones Act, not get rid of it. Because I think it would be too much. But if you could suspend it for 20 years.
Let's see what happens.
No. See, I know exactly what's going to happen.
We know them.
Okay? See, that's what I would go to the Trump administration and ask him to do. Because he's a businessman.
At the
And
end
this
of the
is
day.
business.
At the end of the day, he's a
But I wouldn't go directly to Trump. I would go to his vice president, who's an honorable man, and explain to him our history. Because they don't know it. I think they would give it a shot.
Yeah, I think so. I think
he could write it a suspension. That's
an
all it
executive
is.
order, right?
An executive order. Okay? See, I talk about easy. And then I would monitor the economic success of what happens in Puerto Rico. Now, why would I do that? Why would I want to monitor that?
I don't know.
I want to show off. I want to show the world how good we are, how great we are. Why? Because then the next step is
it's proof of concept.
Not only proof of, but we could then start trading. Once we start trading, independence is right around the corner.
There you go.
Money talks, and bullshit walks.
There you have it.
All right.
Okay.
And so in that interview, I learned a lot. I never really heard about this the executive order to repeal the Jones Act, such an interesting idea, which I've never heard proposed before.
Right.
And seeing how Puerto Rico's industry can grow and everything. And so that was a great interview talking to him and getting kind of an older perspective, but kind of a very interesting guy as far as how he thinks. He's not really right, left. He's kind of like his own person. He dresses well. I'll give him that. So
and he's married to Liz Colon, who I've known for many, many years, and she has been stalwart in the Puerto Rican community, and she's worked for Acacia for many years. So
yeah. Let's talk about Acacia in a second. 1 second.
Sure.
Finally, there was something interesting that happened to Puerto Rico during the election. So obviously, we were there during both elections, right? But the people of Puerto Rico tend to care, obviously, more about the governor's election, right?
Right.
But there was a mock election. I believe it was held only in San Juan, but it might have been held throughout the island. I'm pretty sure it was in San Juan, where they had a mock election for the United States. So Puerto Rican citizens cannot vote for the United States presidency, even though they're governed by the laws of the president, they're governed by all the actions of the president. The president says go to war, they got to go to war and shed blood for the country. Right. But they cannot vote for the president
as a colony because they're a colony.
Because it is a colony. It's one of the world's, if not the only last colony. We'll call it that for now. So they had this mock election, and instead of writing Kamala or Trump, people wrote "Free Palestine, Free Puerto Rico." A lot of them wrote with marker instead
Free
of writing,
Palestine.
Yeah, Free Palestine, Palestina libre, y Puerto Rico libre, and that kind of stuff. But more so, Free Puerto Rico.
That was a protest vote, but in fact, I think it was 57% would have voted for Kamala Harris.
But you listen, I mean, the question of Puerto Ricans being more conservative in places like Pennsylvania, which there are a good amount of them. It's a question to be had, or a conversation to be had about the 46% Latino men that voted for Trump. That's not a conversation for today, but I think what I do want to point out and tell the listeners rather is that Puerto Ricans are not a monolith. The gubernatorial election shows us that, and the statistics in the American election show us that. And the question of why so many Latino men voted for Trump is up in the air. And but Puerto Ricans are, they're different. The island Puerto Ricans are different, have different values than the Puerto Ricans on the mainland. But the big question is the diaspora, the 5 million Puerto Ricans that live in America as opposed to the 3.5 that live on the island.
It's a very broad discussion, and I think it's nuanced, and people should have it with an educated point of view, which we don't have perfectly educated point of view on it, or informed rather, right? But Puerto Ricans are not a monolith. People think if Puerto Rico becomes a state, automatically 2 Democratic senators. We don't know. It's very diverse.
That I agree with, yeah.
Ideologically diverse. So we're gonna be back, right?
Yep.
With,
hopefully we're gonna have the first Latina from upstate to be elected to the assembly.
Okay, state assembly.
And stay tuned for that.
Okay, so let's wrap it up. And I wanted to shout out if you realize how I'm dressing. I do some menswear stuff on TikTok. Get ready with me and all that stuff. And today I am wearing Pasqua, my friend Pasqua from or Pat Roach from Mark Thomas downtown Saratoga Springs. He always wears the turtleneck with the shirt, with the jacket. Never seen it before, but I figured I'd try it today. Beautiful Elizabetta pocket square. Shout out to Elizabetta. Special thanks to Tommy Stiggs and the Social Club crew for supporting us, having me on his show, and saying such great things about you and us. And yeah, that's it. Siempre pa'lante.
Nunca para atrás.